Hello, it's Molly Reamer with Bridget's Grove and 30 Days of Goddess with a flip through video of my finished prayer book from December. So this is another one of those, how do you go? Here's January waiting to be used. How do you go from this to this? Oh my goodness. This one may be my fattest one yet. I did want to note something that I maybe don't always say, which is that I do always reinforce the covers, the inside covers, as part of my pre-journal prep. So, for example, my January one is already prepped with its inside. I put the pockets in advance. I do the back cover reinforcement in advance and, kind of get ready. And a lot of times what I do at the end of the month, the last day of the month, is I go through the old book and anything that I've left in the pockets that I didn't use, that I had been thinking about using, I will take out and put into the new book. So it's kind of ready to roll. So I have a tendency to tuck things I might be going to use. This is from Kelly Lincoln, Dancing Goddess Dolls. And I'm one of her patrons, and she sends those out to do mood tracking, and they fit perfectly in the back of the journal and provide some, if you want to use it as the back cover, it provides that cover reinforcement too. But so here's some extra stuff I had printed out, little extra, more cards and printed runes and a new poem that I'd written that I didn't get a chance to type yet. And whoops, out of focus. Things like that. And then I have leftovers in my pocket. And so I will take all that stuff and move it to the new journal at the end of today. And so for this one, I didn't end up coloring. A lot of times I color those. I didn't end up doing that this time. And that's okay. Remember, there aren't any rules. The whole point is about showing up, being present, and inviting in conscious connection with the sacred and with yourself in every day. And so however that happens is wonderful and doesn't have to look a certain way. So I kept up my theme this time with making a background page that is, I guess not always. Most of the time I kept it up so that there's always a background. And sometimes I'll do those even up to 4 or 5 days in advance, like glue down the background page. And then that gives you something to start with. If you know, like, I'm always going to have a background, I'm always going to have a pocket, I'm always going to have whatever, it makes it easier to get going, especially on days that kind of hold too much and days when you're thinking, I don't know if I want to do this. If you already have your background down and you already know you're going to stick a pocket on, you're kind of almost done already, and that can keep you going when you're feeling a little flaggy in terms of enthusiasm or commitment. December and November are both really busy months for us, and I found myself often finishing my page at night before I went to bed, and that's fine. I like to do stuff in the morning. I'm a big proponent of morning practice. I wrote every morning and picked my rune every morning, but I then finished, and I would pick my components, but then I would finish the actual page in the night before I went to bed, and that was nice too. It's kind of a peaceful little pause for you. So I keep coming back to this page because I wanted to show you that I used this piece from a tea bag box because it had a little quote on it that I kind of liked, and so I made a little door with the tea bag box, and that was just a reminder that you can find things to use for this literally anywhere. Like there are things everywhere, there's inspiration everywhere, and then these books become kind of a holding space for all that wisdom, all that magic in one. And I wrote myself a little note on a little printable thing to put in there, and on these early pages I was still using the Sacred Traveler Oracle and making a little folding thing to go with each one, and then a little blackout poem to put into the pockets, the tiny pockets. I used up those cards eventually before the month was over, so that doesn't continue on every page, but I was doing that. And still picking pieces out of Sunlight on Cedar, my own book, proof copy that I had that I was tearing up. Went to the dentist with my son, so, made a little card out of his business, the dentist's business card. There, that's what I mean about things, inspiration being everywhere, possibility being everywhere. It's really endless, even at the dentist. So I made this little book in the car on the way to the dentist's office. The dentist is in St. Louis, which is about 2.5 hour drive for us to get there, and so might as well make use of it. And that's what I mean when I say that, that's what I mean when I say that the prayer book becomes this portable sacred space that you can take with you anywhere. And it's like, then you have all of those things, all that magic is at your fingertips, kind of it wherever you go, because the book can go with you. So you don't have to make a book. It's still perfectly, wonderfully possible to have a fulfilling devotional practice without making a book, but the book becomes a space to hold it all. And so I find that really powerful. That was a little envelope I found laying on the ground that was something from one of my kids, had its toys or something. A little piece was in there. So I made a little card. I don't think I can get it out right now, but I made a little card and put it in there because you can find things everywhere. The background here was pulled out of an ad in a magazine. I found a feather, and then the mushrooms were cut out of some wrapping paper. I held a mother blessing for a friend, and the mushrooms were cut out of some wrapping paper at her mother blessing. And then I also included a reading that we'd done in my pocket for the day there. So the days sometimes hold, pieces of what I was doing that day. So if I hold a ritual or an event and I have something printed out for it, I will put that into, oh, that's a turkey feather from her turkey at the mother blessing. And so anyway, I'll put things from events and circles into the pockets. More mushroom paper. I was quite fond of that. And we made candles at her mother blessing to light on the day the baby was born. And so we had cut some stuff out from old wee moons to put onto those candles. And then I put one into a piece into my book too as a representation. I have these little jar shaped tags, which I like because then you can kind of quote unquote fill them up with something. It's hard for me to put stuff back in my pockets one-handed. Oh, that was all mushroom paper background. This was from a magazine article. I believe that was like really close up of ice. We were doing a card exchange in the Creative Spirit Circle Facebook group, and one of the members sent me a card that had a tarot card in it, and so I put that into my pocket for the day. It's really fun to find the things that go in your little pockets of the day. And you don't have to make a pocket. I know plenty of people who do not do pockets, but I do. This was an amazing picture from a magazine article. That was like a naturally occurring sea anemone finding with glass and shells and things on the beach that she had taken a picture of, and it looks like an awesome dragon eye, and I liked that. We had a small circle this day, so I made the little goddesses in there kind of represent that communion. Oops. I got some new little tag cards printed, and so I added one of those to the pocket on the day they came. This is leftovers from other backgrounds, and I layered them together like that. Made kind of a patchwork of all those backgrounds. This one has a teeny tiny book. I didn't do as many teeny tiny books as I've sometimes done in this particular version. This was the promotional card or packaging card, so to speak, that came with the solstice greeting cards that I sent out in the card exchange. And so I used that to make a little card for my pocket. Sherry, who does the stamping for our Word of the Year goddesses, I have mine right here with her. Oops. I'm not going to, with her 365 Days of Goddess tag, and then attend, which is my word of the year for 2022. And so Sherry, she's of, what's her business? I'm forgetting. Forest Retreat. That's her business on Etsy. And so she sent me this wonderful little folding book that has all these little pockets within pockets. Oh my gosh, she's speaking my language. And she used one of our quite old business cards as the background there. But you see that? And then on the back, there's a pocket with something else in it. I was so enchanted to get this. It was a really sweet little gift to send me and delighted me to no end. So she sent that with the word of the year things, and it has all these little pockets. So then, of course, what I did was put in a pocket. That's part of why this book is so fat. All the pockets. This was the tag, I think, on a bookmark or a pen that came in my daughter gets Owl Crate Junior, which is a monthly book subscription box. And so I'm always on the lookout for, I like the moons there, so I'm always on the lookout for interesting things. And tags can be really interesting things. Tags, business cards, etc. You can use them for a lot. I got some hot cocoa bombs for my kids, and then I had a picture cut out of a magazine that was exactly the right size for the hot cocoa bomb tag, and I liked the little border, so then I stuck one of my own little prayer notes on it and made that into kind of a little holiday pull out of my pockets. Used some printables from Amy Cesari of Coloring Book of Shadows. That's one of them too. She has a Yule printables book that I bought a couple or 2 years ago or so, and so I printed stuff out from it to use in this book. I didn't always finish coloring everything, and that is okay. Oh, there's another tarot card. This was from a deck I wasn't using, and I liked that hermit image, so I put it in there because of how I feel at this time of year. Oops, there's some cedar or something in there that's blocking my return. And then this was a tag. This was a top of a tag from some stickers that Carmen, one of our moderators, had sent me, and so I used it to make a little door as well. And I'll have to come back and fix that cedar. I'm pretty sure there's a little sprig of cedar down there, and I can't get it out one-handed. And then I made myself a little note from these I printed out in miniature from, my phone keeps cutting off, my video keeps cutting off, so I apologize for some little bumps in the road there, as I'll have to patch it together later. Got some new holiday stickers. I had fun at Samhain with holiday stickers, and so I got some that were kind of Christmassy, winter themed as well. That's another coloring page in the background from Amy Cesari. Another one here. I really used a lot of those at this point. I went to the dentist, so I used my dentist card there and made a little tag for myself. Another one of the little cards, I think that's what I was going to say before when I got cut off, is that I printed out, she has, in the Yule printables, she has greeting cards, and I just printed them out in miniature, so there's like 4 to the page instead of 1 to a page, and so then I made myself little notes with them. Had to go back to the dentist, unfortunately. My aunt, I had sent my aunt and I both collect dolls, and I had sent her, in her Christmas card, I sent her a little tiny note card to her dolls from my dolls. And so she sent me one back, and I was very delighted with that. Walked to the pine trees, and I found that on the ground. This was the full-size version of the card from the Yule printables, and then I used some wrapping paper. I cut some pieces out of wrapping paper to put inside on Christmas, and so that was fun for me. I'll have to put that back in later too. This was from a gift, and then I turned it into a little fold out as well. That was from a gift exchange with Patreon. This was a magazine picture that didn't quite fit, and I didn't want to cut the bird's tail off, so I made it into a fold out. There's so many ways to work with what you have. And a sticker from Fiona, who's one of our Creative Spirit Circle moderators as well. Then I kept having fun with wrapping paper and made a little paper doll for myself too. And I'm sorry, I forget where the printable came from, but I get some printables from them. This is a coloring page that I haven't colored from Joni Ray of Tales of a Kitchen Witch. We had a small circle on this day, and I read this poem out loud, and so I used that as my background, since I had it printed out already. And, you know, I could put it in the recycling, or I could use it in my book. And so it's there, and it becomes, you know, memory as well. And then I'd written a new little card handout that I'm planning to get printed for our patrons at Patreon, which is patreon.com/BridgetSgrove. And I printed it out because I was happy with what I'd made, and put the printout in there. And then this is also from Joni Ray, Tales of a Kitchen Witch, and kind of represents the falling into a new year, into a new month of practice, into a new year of 30 Days of Goddess. And I still need to finish that page and possibly color anything else. And then, like I said, take things out of my pockets and move them into my new January prayer book. So thanks for being here, and I look forward to seeing what 2022 holds for our prayer books, for our practices, and for our promises.